All right, so I wanted to make a quick video on magazine drop tests and whether they are beneficial or if they're just stupid. All right, so first let's start off with which magazines that I've tested. I've tested the AC Unity magazines, the Bulgarian steel reinforced magazines, and the newer US Pawn magazines. On these, when I have dropped these, the base plate has broken off on mine, and other people's have had that experience. The AC Unity one split on the feed lip, all around shot out. And talking about that, some dropping that happens, like with hex mags, AR hex mags, when people were dropping those in any way, all the rounds were just spitting out all over the ground. And you don't want that. You want something that's going to be rigid and retain all your rounds into the magazine. The other one I tested was this Bulgarian steel reinforced magazine. This one did really well. It survived. It bent a little bit because of the steel reinforcements. I was able just to mush it back together, and the magazine still works. All right, so magazines of construction. You have some that are not steel reinforced feed lips and not steel reinforced locking lugs. You have some that have steel reinforcements, like these Circle 10s, these Bulgarians, the X-Tech, the Mill 30s. They have molded steel reinforcements. Some of the locking lugs are just polymer. Some are polymer with a steel piece molded around them. Some have just like a solid piece of metal molded into it, and those can just get knocked out. It won't necessarily break, but it will rip out the molding and break anyway. Then you have the ones like the X-Tech Mill 30s that have a metal lug, but also have a metal piece of sheet metal wrapped around that lug to kind of help it stay where it's supposed to be. You have your different base plates, molded polymer base plates, steel base plates, these ones like this that don't come off. And each one of those offer different benefits and can be more or less durable than others. All right, so is magazine drop testing stupid? Not really. And I think kind of what it does, it gives you a short, brutal test that will expose long-term problems or expose durability. So these Circle 10 mags, these are like 45 bucks a piece. I don't want to buy like 15 of those, so I'd rather buy 15 of something that is more within my budget. So these were about 10, these were about 15. I didn't want to buy a bunch of these if they were going to be not very durable, and if I could spend $5 more and get tough magazines that were just as tough as these Circle 10s without spending the money, then I'd rather do that. And testing these is a good way to figure out which one is just not made very durable. Now these AC Unity magazines, it's a thin magazine body, and when I dropped it one time, it cracked and all the rounds spit out. These did a good job. These Bulgarian steel reinforced mags. And what I did find out is these were pretty tough magazines, and they feed well. So the purpose of the testing was to see, hey, I knew that these had been tested and the Circle 10 mags that have performed, which ones will perform to that level and which ones are going to break when you drop them on the ground. So that was one part of the testing, just to kind of see, hey, are these cheap mags, are they going to hold up? Are they going to withstand the same damage that a Circle 10 mag will do? So there is a point to it, and I understand this. People might say, dropping that mag is not a realistic test. I'm never going to drop a loaded mag onto hard concrete for no reason. But you may kick a magazine out, and it could be partially loaded, it could be loaded and hit the ground. And you want your magazine to survive that, especially if you're training or doing other things. One thing that I think a test that should be done more often is this test here. So if you dropped it like this onto the ground, and hit on the base of the magazine, or hit it like this where you dropped it, or just hit it down onto the back of the magazine, putting upward force on the mag. And what that does, it tests the rear locking lug. I think that's an important test you should see done more. Spent Brass did it with these X-Tech mags on the back of a tailgate or a bench where he hit them, and stuff like the P mags would break off. The X-Tech mags did good, and so did these. Anyway, actually, come to think of it, I think the Spent Brass one, the first X-Tech mag they had, I think the metal piece ripped out. That's why I think they went back and made these Mil 30s, I think. Don't hold me to that though. But to check out Spent Brass's video. And I'm also not gonna drop my gun on the ground intentionally because I don't have the resources to replace AKs all the time. The guy Zeke Shoots, Z-E-K-E, he has a drop gun that he uses to test magazines and different things. That's good if you have that, but I don't. So if Robsy drops his guns and does drop testing, I appreciate his sacrifice, and but I'm not doing that. So just a regular drop test, it does demonstrate the durability of magazines without actually having to drop your gun on the ground. But there are types of drops that will simulate real life abuse. All right, so no, I don't think drop testing is stupid. I think it will expose some weaknesses that magazines have, and I do understand that it is a test that is not really like a standard, or maybe not even super scientific, and it is not something that would replicate the exact actions of something you might do in the field. Like, you're not gonna hold a loaded 30-round mag and drop it on the ground, but you may kick a magazine out and it may hit the ground. Or over a long term, you may have a loaded magazine putting pressure on the feed lips. So I think drop testing, I think there is a place for it. If you're just gonna be using your guns for range guns and toys, as long as you have magazines that feed properly, you probably don't need to spend the extra money on Circle 10 magazines or X-Tech mags that are gonna survive abuse and are gonna be more real world use, crap hits the fan type magazines. So I hope that gives you some, shed some light onto why I did drop testing. And really for me, it was just because I wanted to find some tough magazines that were about 15 bucks that met a drop test standard set by more expensive magazines like the Bulgarian Circle 10s. And I'm not gonna stack these deep and have 15, 20 Circle 10 mags. So I did a little test and ended up buying these Bulgarian steel reinforced mags. Check out my videos, these mags that I've tested, and you can see how they performed. I probably won't be doing any more magazine drop tests unless somebody sends me a magazine to drop test. And again, check out Spent Brass. He did a video called, I think it was X-Tech versus the World or something. I think he tested an earlier version of this. And I'm really sure that testing he did, where he hit the magazine on the back of a tailgate or something, I think that caused them to do this metal wrap around this rear locking lug. And that's what led to the Mil 30s, I think. All right, so guys, I understand that it might not be real world. Don't get too stressed out about it. It's not really that big a deal. Yeah, it might be dumb. Could be a waste of a magazine, but just look at it as a data point that you can use to make decisions. And that's kind of really what it is. So you guys are going to make decisions based off of your own circumstances and your own needs. And some of these mag tests out there are just for you guys. The deciding factor, whether you did spend $9 or $10 on an AC Unity magazine or decide to get a Bulgarian magazine that's $15. Or you may decide, wow, those really performed poorly. I'm gonna go buy Bulgarian Circle 10 mags for 45 bucks a piece. And one mag I haven't really had a chance to use much yet, but I think it's gonna probably do well, is these Palmetto State Armory waffle mags. They look to be made to the same, you know, specifications or same dimensions as these Circle 10 mags. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll answer them below. If you have any questions about magazines or what types I like or where to get them, ask me in the comments. If you have any feedback, you think drop testing mags is stupid, you know, let me know. Go ahead and like the video and maybe share it, do what you want. You know, I don't get any money from this, so this is just for fun and for the AK community. And like I said, have a good one, be safe, and hopefully all these ammo prices will come back down again and we can do some more shooting. All right, have a good one.